From the newly founded Relogic Productions, Terraria is a dark fantasy movie set in a corrupted fantasy world filled with all sorts of creatures and monsters. The hero Alex and his friends who are trying to save their world from the evil Lord Zed. Alex first meets with his guide as he tries to find a way into the dungeon that is being protected by Lord Zed's daughter. Eventually they meet up with Sir Gareth and a few other characters throughout the film and begin their mission to stop Lord Zed. On the way they fight monsters such as the Queen Bee, who has giant stings on her hands, as well as the King Slime, who is slow but strong. The team also fights many different types of demons, including the World Eater, who can eat a whole planet and grow even more powerful. The movie ends with Alex and his group taking down Lord Zed and saving the world. The story itself was pretty good for a fantasy film. I really liked the idea of the world being corrupted and falling apart because of what Lord Zed did. It would have been nice to see him get his comeuppance instead of everything just ending in a happy-go-lucky manner. I thought the character of the old merchant named Goldsmith was pretty interesting. He seemed like he had some kind of ulterior motive, but we never found out what it was. Also, I loved how he could go invisible at will, which allowed him to sneak around and do whatever he wanted. I also enjoyed seeing the evil monsters that were scattered throughout the kingdom and the fact that each one was unique. I especially liked the skeleton Lord Skeletron, who was very imposing looking, and the skeletal Queen Bee, who was covered in stingers. The acting was pretty well done throughout the film. Most of the actors in the film didn't seem too bad at all, except for the lead actor named Alex. He was a bit wooden and stiff at times. The guide, confusingly also called Alex, was pretty good though. I liked the fact that he was able to walk through walls and teleport around. I also liked how he had a sort of magical glow to him whenever he came into contact with magic. He was a pretty cool character. Overall, the acting wasn't terrible and fit the tone of the film. I also liked the monster designs. They were all pretty cool and looked quite menacing. The King Slime and Queen Bee both looked pretty awesome, and the skeleton knight who led the other knights was actually pretty cool looking. There were definitely a lot of great monster designs in this film. My favorite part of the movie was when the evil Queen Bee used her swarm attack to take out Lord Skeletron. She created an army of bees that swarmed around him and destroyed him, which made for a really exciting moment. This was also the reason why I ended up giving this movie a 6 out of 10. There were a couple of things that I didn't care for about this film. First off, when Alex gets to the dungeon, he encounters 3 goblins who want to join him on his quest. I don't know why they decided to make them look like aliens. It just doesn't really make sense. Secondly, I really hated the way the bard acted in the movie. All he ever did was sing. I mean, sure, it sounded okay, but there were only so many songs you could listen to before getting bored. The angler as well was another character that I really wish they hadn't put in there. His catchphrase was fishy, which became annoying after a while. He also had a very strange accent that I couldn't understand half the time. The movie's comedy was pretty hit or miss. Some of the jokes worked, while others fell flat. I also wish they would have cut down on some of the side characters. I think if they cut a few of them out, it would have helped the pacing of the film. I did see a purpose behind the demolitionist. He was sent to kill Alex and his group, but I felt like he was overused and should have been cut down to just 1 scene instead of 2. Additionally, the Eye of Cthulhu felt like a really weak character. He was supposed to be a powerful creature from another dimension, but his power level was pretty low. In my opinion, he was a character that was just thrown in there to help move the plot along. His role in the film was to provide exposition, but I thought that it could have been done better. Instead of having him say it aloud, I would have liked to see the movie use visual effects. I wish they had shown us the Eye's power instead of just telling us about it. I also hated how the movie ended. Basically, when the battle was over, Lord Zed's daughter turned into a giant plant monster and everyone just ran away. Even though they defeated him, he still grew even bigger and destroyed the entire village. Like I said earlier, I wish that Lord Zed got his comeuppance like I wanted to see. Instead, he just got to live and grow even more powerful. I would have preferred for Lord Zed to have been defeated earlier in the film so that his death scene could have been used for something more. I wish movies would stop trying to force cliffhangers right at the end of the film. It should have been obvious that Lord Zed was going to die, and this was the perfect opportunity to let his death sink in. Overall, the movie had a few flaws, but I enjoyed watching it. The animation wasn't bad and the story was entertaining. I would recommend this film to anyone who enjoys fantasy films. I would give this movie a 7 out of 10 overall.
Silly. Well, at home I have a much bigger one.
What is it?
But it's my therapy. I'm still perfecting it.
What does it do?
Do?
Yeah, what's it for?
Well, nothing. I mean, that's the beauty of it. No, every machine in the world is something, but not mine.